What's going on YouTube? Welcome to our first ever MLB The Show 23 video. Today is the gameplay feature premiere for MLB The Show 23. We're going to be watching it together for the first time. I've not seen this video, so we're going to be reacting to its content in its entirety. It's a 40-minute long video. We're going to cut through some of the content and we're going to go ahead and review some of that content and maybe take a deeper dive in what they might be talking about. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Feature premiere, MLB The Show 23. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Ramon Russell here. It's time for another feature premiere. Today's episode is all about gameplay, and it's super important because the tech test will be live tomorrow, so we got a lot to talk about.
That's right. You can download the tech test and play. Anyone don't have to pre-order. It's free for everybody. So make sure if you're on Nintendo Switch, if you're on Xbox, if you're on PlayStation, download the tech test starting tomorrow. Play the game early and give your feedback at theshow.com. It's a website. They should have a form up for that. Just a FYI. The gameplay might not be final, but it's our turn to figure out things that might be wrong with the game. Give them feedback so they can fix those things come release time on March 28th or March 24th for people that pre-ordered the deluxe version of the game. Let's continue.
I'm joined to Radiant.
So these are some of the new legends. Martin Diego? I messed that one up. John Donaldson, Hilton Smith, Buck O'Neill, Rube Foster, Satchel Paige was I'm really excited about. Out of the players in this video, that's the only ones I do know. Hank Thompson and Jackie Robinson is also coming as well. So we'll have to see what happens and what they give us in that new program that we're getting in that new experience in the game.
But this is a different version. Before we get
So apparently we have a big fielding revamp. I would like to see a hitting revamp, but I don't think we might not get a hitting revamp until the game goes next gen only.
into it, we've been doing a ton of testing. We've been playing tournaments, and we have been looking silly because you have to learn how to field all over again in MLB The Show 23. But it's all changes we think you're going to love. Let's get right into it, Connor.
So apparently the fielding's changed so much that we have to relearn how to field in MLB The Show 23. Could this be similar to like going from like meter pitching and analog pitching to pinpoint pitching? Will it be that much of an adjustment when it comes to fielding? We'll have to see and find out.
Yeah, so in last year's game, error rate was mainly the main thing that fielding kind of toggled, but in this year's game there's some quite significant changes.
Like you're mentioning, fielding really controls whether you're a higher attribute, reduced errors, the increased frequency of quicker, faster animations, the more efficient animations that we've captured.
Keep in mind, this is captured on next-gen hardware, work in progress, as you see in the bottom, but everything you see on your screen right now is from MLB The Show 23. So we can look at like the scoreboard in the bottom right, the accuracy, the hit feedback, all that good stuff. Pay attention to it. It could have some secrets in there for us. If I see anything, I will let you guys know.
Significantly this year to really tier out and really to let you as a player be able to see that differentiation in the field. So with those outfield start transitions, you're going to notice on screen right
now. Notice in the bottom left in the feedback, obviously we're pitching, so it's different, but its swing timing is good. It tells you the hitter's contact, his power, and his vision. So vision may have a lot to do, more to do with batting this year. We don't know, but obviously it normally has to do with like your PCI, your outer PCI, but we'll see.
Playing this.
All right, so our attributes for fielders will play a huge role this year. So like even in the outfield, they're going to get slower steps at first step. So their power is going to be off and throwing the ball, stuff like that. They're going to get a slow first step, so the ball's not going to come out as fast. So you might want to have higher fielding in the outfield this year. It might matter. So remember that Julio Rodriguez we had that didn't have the greatest fielding, one of the the first Julio Rodriguez didn't have good fielding, but his hitting stats were insane. You might not be able to get away with him in center field this year with those hitters that don't have great fielding.
This isn't necessarily, Connor.
Yeah, so this year, and as always, urgency.
We don't care about animations, really. I mean, good
Connor,
animations,
as you mentioned, we have
that is nice.
The fielding ability attribute governs errors, non-throwing, correct? Like
Yes.
getting the ball hitting you in your
Non-throwing
chest,
errors for a
outside of
fielding
something like
attribute.
that. So when that happens, everyone remember that's not your fault because of the individual that you're using and their fielding ability attribute. That's what's going to cause those errors. It also is what's going to determine the start transitions and the jumps, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
What should we talk about next? Let's talk about the next major fielding revamp, the button
Throw accuracy meter. Let's go.
accuracy throw meter. But before we talk about the changes, how does this meter, or how did this meter work in the past, and what did it represent, Kyle?
So in the past, throw accuracy meter had consistent timing, always in the center, green region scale depending on fielder accuracy. But we noticed it just wasn't challenging enough.
Nope. That's
Oh,
just
no.
Sweet spot in the same spot all the time.
Right. You know, we're watching streams, we're playing internally. It doesn't have the competitive nature that some of our other interfaces, pinpoint or zone, you know, a little more complexity to it. And so we thought, how can we add that into the show this year? How can we make it more competitive? How can we
So they're trying to increase the skill gap for fielding and the throw accuracy meter to make it more like pinpoint, to make it the difficulty of pinpoint, which I'm not really against that, but for casual players, that could draw some people off if they make the game harder to field. Just my opinion. But for the competitive player, I know I can learn it. I know I can master it. So I'm okay with that, because that means people can have throwing errors, and I still might be safe now. I'm all for that. I can turn a single into a double into a triple into a home run. Why not? We'll take it.
keep our players on their toes like the players are in real life? And so there's a little bit of work done that I think Connor is happy to speak to.
Connor, what's changed with button accuracy throwing?
Yeah, these changes are one of my favorites for sure. In previous years, there was just the red, yellow, and green Ramon, and those were pretty stagnant.
No, they were stagnant. They didn't move at all.
Yeah, so in this year's game, it's changed quite a bit. Difficult infield plays, that green section is going to move. And those long outfield throws, it's going to move as well.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, with the moving meter, it just adds the sense of urgency to the players, trying to mimic, exactly what they're feeling on the field. Runners on base, runners in scoring position, trying to throw a runner out from second and center, 250 feet away. That's not easy.
So they basically have a moving meter. So if you're in the infield, it moves. If you're in the outfield, it moves. So it's not the same spot every single time. And it's going to provide you with a higher skill gap. You can't just have muscle memory on it all the time. But it still looked pretty easy from what we've seen so far.
Looking back at the numbers from telemetry and the feedback that
JT Realmuto.
you all give us on streams and
Y'all weren't
questionnaires.
making no errors. Wasn't nobody making any errors.
Nobody's making any errors.
Nobody was making any errors. You could close your eyes in field, but those days are gone.
Yeah, those
because
outfield
the meter moves.
those outfield assist numbers were astronomical, and I think it was 11 or 12 was the outfield assist leader, so we want to see some more realism there. You don't want to be throwing everybody out every time. We want those moments to be special, impactful, and highlight
right.
exactly what
and
you're
what
doing.
Kyle is really talking about is everything was too easy. It was too easy to
just a
throw
little too
people
easy
out,
for
and
everyone.
our put out numbers were astronomical and not realistic at all.
Mhm.
So specifically, let's talk about in the outfield, what's happening with button accuracy? What's changing that's going to make our put out numbers way more realistic?
Just the start, the moving of the meter itself is just already difficult and challenging. You're focusing on a couple things. You have to know where your runners are in space on the bases. You have to hit a very minuscule perfect meter to get your most efficient and accurate throw home. All those things combined with running an efficient route to the ball, it's challenging in real life, and we want that challenge for you all, in our game.
For some of our new
Now the meter in the outfield definitely can see some difference. It's a lot smaller. It moves. I like it. I actually don't don't mind it at all. I like it.
Fans watching this stream and learning about MLB The Show for the first time, what is the green spot and what determines its size? The sweet spot in the meter, the green little area.
Yeah, so the green area is the sweet spot, as you mentioned. It's basically, it's going to be an online throw if you hit that green spot. That is tied to the arm.
So right here, the sweet spot scale, the green mark is determined by the accuracy, that attribute that you see right in front of you. Let me move my webcam. Oh my God. 86. So therefore the meter is a lot bigger. If that 86 is a 66, obviously it's going to be a lot worse.
Arm accuracy attribute. So because of that, we've also balanced our other mechanics as well, whether you're using buttons or analog throwing, to kind of mimic those MLB numbers
and put like the full control in the player's hands, because the really cool aspect of it is with this really challenging throw accuracy meter, you can take some hits on other statistics. If you can master the meter, you can take a hit with poor arm accuracy for a shortstop, for example, because he's a better hitter. And so if you're good, if you get into custom practice, which I'm happy to say we've done a couple changes for you, and go on in there, tech it out in the tech test, and get your hands on the throw accuracy meter, test it out before you start playing everybody live.
So quick recap, all of the fielding interfaces have been rebalanced. That's correct.
Absolutely.
But button accuracy has been completely revamped. The sweet spot, the green area, it now moves.
Yes.
It does.
And that is based off the difficulty of the play and what else?
So our fielding recap, rebalanced all fielding interfaces, button throw accuracy is revamped, and sweet spots have now moves.
Distance of the throw.
The distance of the throw.
Outfield.
Yeah, so, yeah, the yellow portion of the meter.
Oh.
Force throws to first, now the yellow portion of the meter. And what that does, it's basically a dirt throw region. So if I'm throwing the first and I hit it inside that yellow region, it's up to the first baseman's fielding attribute whether he's going to make.
So the force throws the first. If you throw it and it ends up in the yellow, it will now be determined by your first baseman's fielding attribute if he digs it out of the dirt or if he drops the ball. So if you don't hit the green spot and it hits the yellow and then goes on to the fielding attribute of that first baseman, higher fielding attribute, he'll successfully dig it from the dirt and get the out. If not, possibly drops it and he's safe.
That pick.
Oh, Frank Thomas comes to mind. Yes, he does. So it's yellow, but it doesn't correlate to the person throwing the ball. That's really going to correlate to who you have at first base, because it's a dirt throw and you're hoping that guy over there has a high fielding ability.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, you do.
All right. So we're talking about all are they?
So we have 4 new quirks this year: pickoff artist, table setter, break outlier, and bad ball hitter. And
all right, these are the 4 new quirks before we even hear about them. Pickoff artist increases your success rate of pickoffs. Table setter performs better with no runners on. Break outlier, pitcher loses less break when tired. Bad ball hitter excels at hitting pitches outside the strike zone. Ooh,
So
passive quirks.
Removed passive quirks.
They removed
in this
them.
year's
Okay.
game especially, we just felt like there were a lot. There were some that did something, some that didn't do
So
anything.
if they didn't do anything.
Very
no.
nice.
They're gone.
Yep.
They're
Boom,
gone.
There it is.
So
what
all-
that means is
That's huge. So every quirk that did nothing in game is gone, vanished, gone. So you never have those quirks in your team now. They're like, so they don't really help my player online. It's just for like offline or whatever. So those are gone. W. I hated seeing stuff in the game that didn't relate to the gameplay.
what you see is what's impacting gameplay.
And I think that's really important. Don't forget, quirks stack. So if you're lucky enough to have a player with 3 or 4 quirks, maybe it's a day game, a road game, and you got those 2 things, those will stack and they will affect either the size of your PCI or the sweet spot, whether you're pitching. So it's all affecting the gameplay.
Talking about attributes, right?
Yeah, we were.
We have a complete change on the attribute called clutch. It does
Clutch attribute has been changed. Ooh.
not work the way it used to. How did it change, fellas?
So we made it meaningful, really. We wanted to highlight those players that are successful when the time calls for it. You know, runners on base, big game, ninth inning. The ones that step
Clutch.
up, yeah, the ones that step up, or that pitcher that's just nails, like fastball, go take a seat, next one up. You know, that's what we wanted the clutch attribute to do. Highlight specific players. You know, you got. Judge is a great example of someone when he comes up, you know, that intimidation factor is there. That guy is ready when the moment calls for it. So Connor, why don't you tell us that intimidation specific play?
Okay.
The moment calls for it. So Connor, why don't you tell us a little bit about how that clutch is going to factor in with contact and stuff?
Most definitely. But now with runners in scoring position, clutch is a direct replacement for contact, and pitching clutch is a direct replacement for hits per
So
nine.
let's say this again. Clutch is now swapping attributes. What happens when you're a pitcher now?
When you are pitching clutch replaces hits per nine.
So pitching clutch replaces hits per 9 when you're pitching, and clutch replaces hits per 9 when you're hitting.
Runners in scoring position.
With runners in scoring position.
With runners in scoring position. Yes. So hits per 9 is now pitcher clutch, and contact is now clutch. And then the hitter left to right contact splits calculated. Okay. That's huge. So like imagine you have somebody that has like 99 clutch, but they only have like 60 contact. If there's runners in scoring position, that clutch attribute is going to take an effect over that low contact. That's huge. That should be really, really cool to see in game. All right. So it shows like pitchers like per 9s, and it shows the hitters like contact, power, vision, speed. He's a first pitch hitter. I imagine that's like a quirk.
That are meant to be the driver for the game. Now, under that, there's his active quirks, and those are just...
And then the active quirks. Okay, so you can look at a hitter's like active quirks now, as well as the pitcher. So that can like determine like how you're going to approach that hitter, how the hitter, if you can do it as a hitter, how you approach the pitcher. You know, do you like take some pitches? What do you do?
But one of the coolest things we've added is just StatCast, and that is left on the D-pad.
So left on the D-pad gives you StatCast. Chase, 2-strike chase, swing, contact, whiff, hard hit. Okay. That is really cool stats that you can look at that throughout the whole game, and it changes. How much are you whiffing? How much are you making contact? How many times have you made a hard hit?
Competitive mode is a different story. The competitive gameplay style has been completely redone. Let's talk about the changes.
Let's talk about it.
Earlier I said throw accuracy meter changes were one of my favorite, but I truly think this might take it. Competitive is a really cool thing, and these gameplay styles are one. It's just an area we feel we can. It's an avenue for us to go down.
Oh, I'm excited.
And to kind
What
of
they change?
differentiate the game for
What they
different
change?
types of players.
And with that competitive, with the feedback that we get from you all on streams, the esport tournaments that we watch, those things are so awesome. We really want to highlight the player skill that you all have out there. It's so awesome to watch those tournaments, to watch those game-winning home runs, watch the throws. But we notice, I think we could be a little bit more competitive. I think we need to do more to that pitcher-batter matchup. We weren't happy with some of the foul ball rates we were seeing. We weren't happy with the...
They acknowledge their foul ball rates were garbage. SDS, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that. That's something that other companies would never acknowledge. Thank you very much.
The amount of swing and misses we weren't seeing, unfortunately. We were seeing too much contact up there. So we thought as a gameplay team, how can we get better? How can we make these changes? And so we looked at all these different things to enhance that pitcher-batter matchup.
Perfect. Let's start with foul ball changes. Competitive gameplay style. What's changing when it comes to foul balls?
There's less of them, Ramon. You're going to notice that pitchers can strike batters out a lot easier now.
So foul balls should be a lot less now. Pitchers can strike out batters a lot easier now in competitive modes. Hopefully that relates to online ranked seasons gameplay. We'll have to see.
The way it's what we see in real life, and it's what we want people to experience on our game. If you're pitching well, you're going to get the guy out.
Yeah, I think that's really important to highlight. a lot of frustration.
I'm a good pitcher.
Internally, as well as with you all out there, is the lack of being able to finish off an at-bat with 2 strikes. It can be really frustrating when you get 2 strikes on a batter and they're throwing sliders and curveballs and off speeds down and away, or down, or even up and in, and they're fouling off pitches that they probably should not be getting to.
No, they shouldn't be.
Especially with poor timing.
Yep.
You know, if you're very, very late, very early, you should not be rewarded with an extra pitch. You know, that pitcher got
Thank you, SDS. Everything you're saying is just absolute facts. They're spitting facts right now. Thank you.
you, and we need to, rectify that, and we did. The swing and misses are there. The foul ball rates, those extended at bats, we weren't happy with seeing that, those 9 or 10 pitch at bats with those very poor timings. Like that is something we didn't like to see, and so we've made changes to address those things in the competitive mode this year.
At the end of the day, previous years I've always struggled with hitting, and I finally feel like I'm able to make up for it with my pitching in this year when it comes to pinpoint and just being able to sequence my pitches.
Yep, being able to strike guys out.
This guy coming from the tourney winner, of course, he mentions his ability to execute his pitches.
You won the tourney?
The All-Star bracket, not the Hall of Fame.
Hey man, you stick your chest out.
Oh, it's out.
You won the tourney. I didn't win the tourney.
I have to walk by and see his trophy every day.
Oh,
so
I
it's
have
not something I look
You
forward
won
to
the
seeing.
tourney. All right.
I have
We
a
just talked about
certificate.
foul ball rates. We've talked about swing analysis. Complete revamp. We've been revamping everything in gameplay. What else? Where are we talking next?
You're going to notice a significant decrease in the amount of cheap hits that you would expect. And what I refer to as cheap hits are those really late timing flare.
Less frequent cheap hits, like really late timing. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
Over the first baseman or third baseman. Those
Please.
are very, very frustrating, especially when you get down to 2 strikes, or especially with runners in scoring position. It as a player, it's not fun to have that happen to you. Can it happen? Of course, the whole spectrum is there, but we narrowed the entire range for those very early, very late swings, so you'll see a lot less of
What
those.
Kyle is basically saying is if you're playing on competitive, good swing timing, great swing timing, perfect swing timing, good PCI placement, you're going to hit the ball harder. You're going to find
Let's
more
go.
green grass. Those bloop hits that you would get from, weak timing or okay contact.
Anyone notice? Okay, huge change, I think. Anyone notice the PCI where the center dot isn't as visible anymore? Like it's there, but it's not like in your way of actually seeing it. It's not the same outline as the outer PCI. I think you can change the transparency of your inner PCIs now. And it's not like the whole thing. Maybe you could always do that. I don't know. I knew like you could change the transparency, but I thought it affected every single like outline. So now you could have like your outer PCI and then the inner PCI that's like
Those
not
are
as
happening
visible.
at a much
It's still there
slower
though.
clip. Is that correct?
I definitely see it. It
We've
definitely
done a few tournaments
seems like a
here,
change.
The game is we're seeing this play out. It's also way harder. Strikeouts are up, so we're really show 23. Kyle and Connor, we've been talking about gameplay styles, competitive mode. Where will you find yourself playing?
Set to competitive. Dynasty, whether online
I can talk
and toggle.
Kyle. Plate vision is an attribute.
Plate vision.
It is.
It has changed.
Yeah.
How has
It's
it
changed.
So
I knew
to take
something
effect
changed
in
about it.
competitive, You're going to notice right away that we took 50% of your vision away
What?
on the outside. And really, that's the swing and misses and foul balls. That was a big enhancer of
Let's
extending
go.
those at-bats when it wasn't warranted. You would see off PCI fouls and even potentially hits. And so that shrunken vision is really changing the way the foul ball rates.
Say that one more time. What's the reduction?
50%. Half.
50%. Half. All right, let's go.
So the vision reduction is 50%. So half. That's crazy.
This is the gameplay feature premiere. Remember the tech, all new animations. We MLB have some rule changes. Which rule changes? Talked about swinging now.
So with the recap of this video, we're almost near the end, guys. I know it's been a long video, but we want to cover everything. Updated fielding, new fielding animations, updated hitting, updated PCI, and swing analysis, as well as some other PCI little changes that we talked about as well. And then one last thing.
MLB have some rule changes. Which rule changes are we going to see in MLB?
Rule changes. Let's go.
So the first rule change you're going to see right out of the gate is the newly implemented shift rule. And
New shift rule is in MLB The Show 23.
That's with a minimum of 4 infielders on the dirt at all times.
There's co-op ranked, so we co-op, tip them off.
Tell people about game design.
On all the hard work, and we
Co-op.
appreciate it.
Ranked
Joined by
co-op,
senior
guys.
technical game designer
Let's
Kyle
go,
McCollum.
baby.
Great today, Ramon.
Let's
We got a few things to know
go.
about the tech test today, don't we?
We do. There's some cool stuff we might want to tip them off before they see it tomorrow.
So, co-op. Let's start there.
Co-op, yeah. Everybody asked for it. We want rewards in co-op. We heard it, so we did it.
Ranked co-op. Let's go. That's what we want, baby.
So just like solo ranked, now there's co-op ranked, where there's a ladder that you're going to be climbing. When you
Let's
play with your buddies
go.
and you win games, your rating goes up. If you lose games, it goes down. When your rating meets those certain thresholds, just like in solo ranked, you're going to get rewards. So long story short, we got rewards in co-op.
But that's not all, Kyle. There's more.
There's more. So we got a couple other tidbits that we'll just tip you off about in the tech test.
Do it.
First, DH. The MLB got the
Universal designated hitter
DH just this last season, so now we have it in Diamond Dynasty
is in MLB The Show 23. Let's go, baby.
as well. So any squad you play with in Diamond Dynasty has a DH.
DH is in DD, but that's not all, Kyle.
Yeah, alongside that, we've of course added full two-way player functionality. I'll give you an example.
Full two-way player functionality in MLB The Show 23.
Of course, the one everybody knows is Shohei Ohtani. So we'll have Shohei Ohtani's Live Series card, which still is a starting pitcher, but it has secondary positions, so that's what makes him a two-way player. And that goes for any player in Diamond Dynasty. When they're a pitcher with secondary positions, you can use them as a DH and in
And
your
a
starting
starter.
rotation. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And if you don't want to have him as the DH in the rotation, you can just put him in one of his secondary positions. So now that player is just super flexible, just like a two-way player is in real life.
Thank you
Let's
so
go.
much, Kyle, for joining us and giving us.
And that is all for MLB The Show 23. If you're excited as I am, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new for all MLB The Show 23 news, gameplay, tips, and more. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.